I never knew there was a love like this before. Never had someone to show me a love like this before. I never knew there was a love like this before. Never had someone to show me a love like this before. I never knew there was a love like this before.
What's up, everyone? It's Books and Looks TV. Today, I'm going to discuss the character Kim from Moesha and the fat girl trope, and I wanted to address fat phobia in television. So, in the popular TV show Moesha, the character Kim Parker faces challenges related to her weight, contributing to the perpetuation of fat phobia and stereotypes. This analysis delves into Kim's role and character in Moesha, explores the concept of fat phobia and its portrayal on television, and references specific episodes that discuss her weight, including her pursuit of Hakeem and Moesha's later involvement with him during college. So first I'm going to talk about Moesha and Kim. And then I'm going to talk about understanding fat phobia and stereotypes on TV. Then I'm going to talk about particular episodes that pretty much criticize Kim's weight. And then I'm going to do like an analysis of how Moesha had pretty privilege compared to Kim, just how this type of trope perpetuates negatively among fat or bigger people. And I'm also going to talk about highlights of Kim and just articles and books that follow up on the importance of sisterhood despite your weight and or beauty. So Moesha is again a coming of age sitcom, and it follows the life of the main character, Moesha Mitchell. And Kim Parker is Moesha's best friend. She is portrayed as a plus-size woman who often faces challenges and stereotypes related to her weight. Kim's character provides an opportunity to explore issues of body image and fat acceptance within the context of the show. So now I want to talk about how we can understand fat phobia and its stereotypes on television. So for those who may or may not know, fat phobia refers to the discrimination, prejudice, and negative attitudes directed towards individuals based on their weight or body size. In television shows like Moesha, fat phobia can manifest stereotypes and tropes that perpetuate harmful beliefs and biases. These stereotypes may include portraying plus-size individuals as a comedic relief, insecure, or as unsuccessful in romantic relationships. Ironically, Kim, though a lot of people liked her character, she was often seen as a comedic relief. I wouldn't say she was necessarily insecure, even though this happens with like the less desirable characters or when fat phobia is displayed. However, during Moesha, she did have, I don't want to say unsuccessful romantic relationships, but I will say when it came to her and Hakeem, it was like she was obsessed with him. And it was kind of like, again, that trope of a fat girl chasing this physically appealing guy or just not being sought after, but being the pursuer. So now I'm going to talk about episodes that discuss Kim's weight and the pursuit of Hakeem particularly. In season 1, episode 2, there's an episode called Friends. And in this episode, it introduces the dynamic between Kim and Hakeem that showcased Kim's unrequited crush on him. Kim's weight is addressed.
In the show, there were different ways that Kim was portrayed as a fat friend. Again, through her personality, often coming in as the comedic relief, but also in how she chased Hakeem throughout various episodes. There are episodes where Kim did happen to find quote-unquote love or a boyfriend. I think there was one actually where he was an athlete, but he was still seen as like this dorky jock. But again, that's another trope. But when it comes to options, Kim does not have as many options as Moesha. Though Moesha is the main character, it still shows a sense of how desirability is presented in society. There's also this other episode where Kim, Niecy, and Moesha are supposed to be in a talent show as the Supremes. So they're all talking on three-way, and they forgot to hang Kim up. Some people did used to be sneaking with them house phones. Kim, of course, she heard them talking about her and saying that probably weren't going to be able to find a dress size to fit her to be the Supremes. Of course, that hurted Kim's feelings. So again, that was another instance of them doing body shaming towards Kim on the show. I always thought Kim just looked like the average black girl that was in my community. I necessarily see her as fat. think at that time where thin was in would be considered fat, or especially like if we're just thinking about Hollywood in general on television. Also, I would like to mention Kim to me wasn't fat. Kim also wasn't slim. I'm just going to be honest. Some people are considered not that big. But in an instance, Kim was a bit privileged when we think about people who are on the lower end of being big, and people say, oh, well, you're not that big. So I'm like, well, we can tolerate you maybe if you lost 15 or 20 pounds, or tolerate you in general in our circle, but you still aren't as desirable as us. But another conversation, if y'all want me to talk about that, I can talk about that. But about desirability in general, Moesha definitely was the main character, and she definitely had a string of guys in rotation.
And so I also wanted to mention how overall I feel like Moesha had times where she supported Kim, and I'm not entirely blaming Moesha's character for how Kim was depicted on the show, but I'm just saying in general how some people, when they have like pretty privilege or when they just don't have good values, do weird stuff, how like Moesha was moving. So on season 6 episode 20, while Moesha is in college, she becomes involved with Hakeem, which was Kim's longtime love interest, and this storyline raises questions about friendship dynamics, betrayal, and the portrayal of relationships involving plus size characters. For me, I didn't like that. Don't get me wrong, there are some times where friends could think the same guy is cute, but for Kim to have taken him so seriously and he never like showed interest, like that kind of bothered me. Like if there was an instance maybe where Hakeem would have said, like if it was known that he was interested in Moesha, it probably would have been a little better. But when you just think about like girl code, when it comes to like black friendships or just in general, I feel like oftentimes women fall out because of men. And again, I don't like how Moesha was seen as desirable to Hakeem, but Kim wasn't. These particular episodes offer a deeper exploration of Kim's experiences relating to her weight, including again her pursuit of Hakeem and the complexities of her friendship with Moesha. By examining these episodes, we can better understand the portrayal of fat phobia and the impacts of stereotypes on television. Now I'm going to talk about how Moesha was portrayed on the show. So I know some people might argue, girl, Moesha was the main character, which is true. But again, the idea that the main character has to be desirable or slim or just, you know what I mean, pretty in general, it's kind of just interesting on like societal standards. And I just wanted to mention that. So, because Moesha was considered desirable, her romantic relationships were totally different than Kim's on the show. She had interactions with various boyfriends throughout the series, and it's been an ongoing joke as people watch the show or rewatch the show. Like, dang, how many boyfriends does she have? This is not necessarily shaming her, but it just shows how I think that in the grand scheme of things, the fact that she had so many options as someone who was portrayed as a desirable character means more than the background of her boyfriends. Whereas Kim, though she was pictured with one or two guys, in general was the idea that she had to convince someone to like her. And I think there was like one instance where this guy really did like her, but he wasn't seen as the most desirable or smartest guy. And so I think that in itself shows about how like the fat friend trope or the fat girl trope can like have a negative impact on our psyche, or just how fat black girls and or women are portrayed in media. And I think that even the idea that Moesha's teacher was attracted to her, I think it brought up an interesting perspective of how like young black girls or teenagers are objectified or adultified. But at the same time, it kind of, again, adds this negative concept that, oh, Moesha's so desirable that even her teacher couldn't take his eyes off her, and he showed up to her birthday gathering. And I don't know, I just don't hear people talk about that episode a lot. But again, it just adds to the dynamic of who Moesha was overall. And even when we think about the pretty girl in school, like some people, you know, portray them as just like an object in a sense too. So either way is dehumanizing for the fat girl trope and the pretty girl. But overall, I just feel like that Kim was seen as like the butt of a lot of jokes in the show. And so that's why I wanted to bring that up. I would argue that Moesha was aligned with pretty privilege. because she had advantages and benefits that individuals receive based on their physical attractiveness. Moesha's character was portrayed as intelligent, charismatic, and compassionate. Her physical appearance was also an important aspect of the character and how she was perceived by others. She had a conventionally attractive appearance. Moesha was stylish, she was well groomed, and she was charismatic. Physical attractiveness often played a role in how others interacted with her and the attention she received from potential love interests. Moesha was portrayed as popular and well liked among her peers. Attractive appearance contributed to her social standing and acceptance within her school and community. Being physically appealing often leads to increased popularity and acceptance in social settings. Number three is her romantic relationships, contributing to her romantic success and the ability to explore different relationships. Number four, social perception and influence. Misha's physical appearance may have played a role in how others perceived her. Being seen as attractive can influence the way people view and respond to someone, leading to increased social influences and positive attention. And I would like to be fair and say that while Moesha benefited from certain aspects of pretty privilege, Moesha was very well rounded, an individual with intelligence, wit, and a strong sense of herself. Personal growth, relationships, and experiences went beyond slowly relying on her appearance, highlighting her depth as a character. I want to compare that to Kim Parker and her personality. So, Kim Parker was portrayed by Constance Vaughn. It is important to note that beauty and desirability are subjective, that Kim's character had many qualities that made her beautiful and endearing. Let's just talk about how Kim portrays self confidence and boldness throughout the series and specific episodes that highlight these qualities. So, this episode, Kim shows her self confidence by auditioning for the school's cheerleading squad. Despite facing initial skepticism, she delivers an impressive cheerleading routine and secures a spot on the team. Season 5, Episode 15, Give Me a Break. This episode, Kim takes on the role of student body president at Bridgewood High. Despite facing challenges and opposition from her peers, she confidently stands up for herself and fights for positive change in the school. Her leadership and self confidence shines through as she takes charge and advocates for the student body. These episodes demonstrates Kim's self confidence and boldness in various contexts, whether it's showcasing her skills, pursuing romantic interests, or taking on leadership roles. Character consistently exhibits a belief in herself, the ability to assertively navigate different situations. So now I'm just going to get into her personality in general. Kim had a bold and confident personality that often shone through. She was not afraid to express herself, voice her opinions, and go after what she wanted. Her assertiveness and self assuredness made her an appealing character. Kim was a loyal friend to Moesha and the other characters in the show. She provided unwavering support, often offering advice, lending an ear, and being there for her friends during challenging times. Her genuine care and loyalty made her beautiful on the inside. Three, sense of humor and lightheartedness. Kim had a vibrant sense of humor and a lighthearted personality, brought joy and laughter to those around her. Her ability to find humor in various situations made her an enjoyable character to watch. Number four is her fashion sense and style. Kim was known for her fashionable outfits and unique style. She embraced her own sense of fashion and expressed herself through her clothing choices, demonstrating confidence and individuality. Number five is her growth and personal development for more diverse and inclusive narratives that challenge fat phobia and promote body positivity, challenges societal messages of body shame and oppression. Yeah, let me know what y'all think down below. And thank you for listening to Books and Looks TV. I'll see you guys next time.